The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. We begin with the latest on the U.S. government shutdown. The U.S. Senate moves forward on a measure to reopen the federal government. Voting 60-40, senators advance a bill to fund the government until January 30, but it still needs House approval before going to President Donald Trump, a process that could take days. The shutdown, now in its 40th day, has sidelined federal workers, delayed food aid, and triggered flight reductions across the U.S. Asian markets mostly trade higher as investors grow optimistic that the longest U.S. government shutdown in history may soon end. Only the Singapore Straits Times Index is in the red, while the rest of Asian benchmarks are currently trading in the green. In the currency market, the U.S. dollar is little changed against the Hong Kong dollar and the Thai baht. It weakens against the South Korean won, but gains ground against the Japanese yen and Singapore dollar. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, strengthens against the greenback. In commodities, gold is up more than 1%, while oil prices are also higher. In cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is gaining more than 1%, and Ethereum is up by almost 1%. The Philippines posts its lowest third-quarter growth since 2011, with corruption a major factor. Ibon Foundation says a 26.2% drop in public construction drags down the economy. Stronger rules for Department of Public Works and Highways projects follow scandals, delaying billings and other government projects. Ibon forecasts 2025 growth of 4%, below the 5.5 to 6.5% target, and criticizes limited investment in agriculture and industrialization. Albay Governor Noel Rosal lauds President Marcos's state of national calamity, saying it speeds up relief, rescue, and rehabilitation after Super Typhoon Uwan. He says the 30% quick response fund becomes readily available because of the declaration.
So we had about 77,290 families, attorney, about 200,000 ang nasa evacuation. Kung wala yung declaration, mahirapan yung mga local government units.
Rosal adds the provincial government now prioritizes power restoration after massive outages leave much of Albay in the dark.
Nakapag-clear na kami, we took advantage of it, including the power restoration, which is very important. Kasi nga, nag-blackout talaga kasi nag-signal number 4 yung eastern seaboard ng Albay.
Taxpayers in Cebu affected by Typhoon Tino now have more time to pay taxes. The Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, extends November deadlines to November 28, and those who comply avoid penalties, surcharges, and interest. BIR Commissioner Romeo Lomagi says the extension gives residents enough time without extra financial burden, covering Cebu districts and parts of Negros Occidental like Bacolod and Victorias. Typhoon Uwan is already over the West Philippine Sea, but the floods in Laguna province have yet to subside. Paulo Barcelon is there. He now joins us on the phone for the latest. Paulo, tell us about the situation there.
Mai, as of early this morning, thousands of residents are still in evacuation centers due to widespread flooding in low-lying communities. Local officials say over 10,000 families, or nearly 50,000 individuals, are still in evacuation centers across Laguna. The Provincial Disaster Office is also looking into clogged drainage systems and closed flood control structures around Laguna de Bay as possible reasons for the flooding. Governor Sol Aragones says they are now assessing the damage caused by the super typhoon Aragones added that the upcoming dredging project promised by businessman Ramon Ang could help reduce floods in communities around Laguna de Bay. For now, relief operations continue in the hardest hit towns as power restoration and damage assessment are underway across the province. Meanwhile, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines says power restoration continues in areas hit by Super Typhoon Uwan. As of 1 p.m., several transmission lines have been re-energized in Luzon, including those connecting Sorsogon, Eastern Samar, and parts of Central Luzon and La Union. NGCP reports that lines serving Soreco, Esamelco, Neeco, Zameco, and Fleco are now back online, helping restore electricity to thousands of households. Mai.
Thank you for that report, Paulo Barcelon. The Bangko Sentral may impose a jumbo half-point interest rate cut to boost government spending. Aris Decanay, economist at HSBC Global Investment Research, says this should compensate for the country's third quarter growth at 4%. It may even turn into an easing cycle to support the economy. Decanay notes the reduction would depend on decisions made by the U.S. Federal Reserve. Keeping the country's interest rates close to each other should protect the already weak peso. A reason for this being the probe into public works scandals, which has driven foreign investors away. The Securities and Exchange Commission forms a working group with the Philippine Stock Exchange to speed up new capital market rules, including potential changes to minimum public ownership. SEC Chairman Francis Lim says the group finalizes recommendations directly, and new rules may create different minimum public float tiers based on market capitalization to ensure liquidity. The government service insurance system gives those affected by Typhoon Tino and Uwan a 3-month grace period on emergency loans. GSIS President Jose Arnulfo Veloso says this will give them time to recover with full support from the Board of Trustees. The loan program opens November 7. Members and pensioners can apply until February 7, 2026. Payments are deferred with the earliest due date on April 10, 2026. We're taking a short break. More stories are coming up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. Next generation business leaders in the Philippines must learn to navigate uncertainty and lead with agility to drive both organizational and national progress. Bilyonaryo Jaime Alfonso Zobel de Ayala, CEO of AC Mobility, says the combination of innovation across various sectors and the complexity of rural systems presents challenges for strong decision-making. He made the remarks during the 6th Management Association of the Philippines Next Gen Conference last week, emphasizing the need for leaders who can adapt and drive change in a fast-evolving business landscape. The Philippine hotel industry is struggling even before the recent GDP slowdown report, with performance still below pre-pandemic levels. That's according to Benito Bengzon Jr., Executive Director of the Philippine Hotel Owners Association. On BNC's Business 360, he says the Philippines lags behind its ASEAN peers, which have fully recovered to 2019 tourism levels. The country is still at about 75% of pre-pandemic visitors. He says the loss is being driven by corruption issues and worsening weather conditions, and for Chinese tourists by visa difficulties and geopolitical concerns. Numbers have fallen by about 300,000 from 1.8 million in 2019.
Well, we're seeing some positive developments. I mentioned earlier the e-visa for Chinese visitors. We started that just this month. In June of this year, we started issuing visa-free privileges to Indian travelers. Earlier this year, for the first time, the government finally will grant VAT refund for non-resident tourists. So these are positive developments, here and there that help increase the numbers. But as I mentioned, we are at about 6 million. Our all-time high was 8.2 million, and we still have a long way to go.
The outlook for 2026 remains cautiously optimistic, with the government needing to focus on infrastructure, connectivity, and marketing to help close the gap in tourism recovery. After Maynilad's successful IPO, Metro Pacific, led by Bilyonaryo Manny V. Pangilinan, eyes listing its Tollways unit next. Pangilinan says the IPO could happen by 2027, either standalone or with San Miguel's toll business. However, internal adjustments are still required. The group manages expressways like the NLEX, ECITEX, and the Cavite-Laguna Expressway, or CALAX. He says Maynilad's IPO shows a commitment to deliver essential services with integrity. Even as corruption investigations and spending delays slow other parts of the economy, the auto sector continues to move steadily. Lexus Philippines marks a new milestone amid signs of resilience in the broader industry. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the details.
The Philippine car market remains upbeat, even as corruption scandals continue to cast shadows over several parts of the economy. From properties, jewelry, and restaurants to the stock market, peso-dollar exchange rate, and now even the country's gross domestic product. But the country's auto sector continues to power through. For Bilyonaryo and Lexus Philippines chairman Alfred T., both Lexus and its sibling brand Toyota, along with the rest of the car industry, remain strong.
The auto industry is more than just luxury and lifestyle. There's a lot of purchase because of business purposes. So that continues to be strong.
But T also admits that the peso exchange rate is always a challenge due to the importation of vehicles. But optimism stays high. Lexus Philippines President Masando Hashimoto says the brand's focus on quality and service never wavers.
Regardless the situation of economy or politics, we, Lexus, is committed to provide any quality, or we're not complacent in any pursuing any quality in any areas.
And after 16 years, a new chapter unfolds for Lexus in the Philippines with the opening of its brand new home in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig. According to T, the new showroom embodies Lexus's philosophy of treating each customer like a guest, a reflection of the brand's omotenashi spirit.
This is much bigger, more spacious, no? So the other side was nice, but getting to be congested already. So we're just happy to have this opportunity. And this location is accessible from BGC, 8th Avenue, but also from Kalayaan.
T also expressed gratitude to their loyal customers, noting that there are now over 12,000 Lexus units on Philippine roads, with the promise of even more amazing experiences every day.
Car sales were sluggish in the past months, but there were signs of recovery in October. And for the last 2 months of 2025, Bilyonaryo Alfred T. is confident that the auto industry remains on track to reach its sales target of over 500,000 units. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
Electricity rates may rise this month, driven by higher pass-through charges, spot market price increases, and a weaker peso. Meralco spokesperson Joe Zaldariaga says higher rates for November are likely, with a final adjustment announced on November 10. Consumers may see an extra 88 centavos per kilowatt hour, mainly due to the higher feed-in tariff, or FITOL, a uniform charge funding renewable energy projects. Super Typhoon Uwan is now moving away from the Philippines after leaving a trail of devastation in many parts of Bicol and northern Luzon. It has since been downgraded into a tropical storm. Let's get the latest forecast from Pag-asa. Joining us live from there is Paulo Del Rosario. Hi, Paulo. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mai. Well, during the past 3 days, Super Typhoon Uwan has brought intense and torrential rains throughout the country. From 8 a.m. on November 7 to 8 a.m. on November 10, 2025, the area with the highest rainfall total was recorded in Verac, Catanduanes, reaching 392.6 millimeters. Following Verac were Legazpi, Albay with 269.6 millimeters and Huban in Sorsogon with 245 millimeters. In southern Luzon, Tanay, Rizal recorded 230.3 millimeters, while Daet, Camarines Norte had 223.1 millimeters. Other areas with significant rainfall include Abucay in Bataan with 179.4 millimeters, Baguio City with 155.6 millimeters, Baler, Aurora with 129.2 millimeters, Dagupan City in Pangasinan with 126.2 millimeters, and Muñoz, Nueva Ecija at 117.6 millimeters. Now, Pag-asa reminds the public that these heavy rainfall amounts have caused severe flooding and landslides throughout the country, even as Typhoon Uwan moves away. Residents in these areas are still advised and could be still experiencing heavy rainfall and should remain alert for possible flooding and landslides, especially in locations that have had continuous amounts of heavy rain. That's the latest here in Pag-asa Weather and Flood Forecasting Center. Mai, back to you.
Thank you, Paulo Del Rosario, live from the Pag-asa headquarters. Filipinos in New York celebrate Zoran Mamdani's historic win as mayor, making him the youngest and first Muslim American to hold the city's top post. Don Tagala has the story.
These Filipinos for Zoran thought it was going to be a close win for their mayoral bet. But Tuesday's historic U.S. elections turned into a blue wave for Democrats instead. After long days of canvassing, phone banking, and campaigning for their mayoral bet, members of the Filipinos for Zoran organization celebrated a big win for immigrants, electing the first Muslim American mayor and the youngest mayor in New York City's history.
It's a euphoric feeling in the room. Everyone's really grateful that we could have pulled our community together to make this happen. Canvassing was great. I personally love talking to my neighbors. I love going to the communities around me.
In his victory speech, Mayor-elect Mamdani doubled down on his campaign promises.
Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... Let the words we've spoken together, the dreams we've dreamt together, become the agenda we deliver together.
For this film, Mamdani's plan for affordability and universal childcare are timely and much needed for his newborn.
I just had a son, so I think the universal childcare is going to be really cool. I hope that is something that really comes to fruition.
New York, obviously, biggest, most expensive city in the world, making it more affordable, making it a livable city for people that aren't in like the top percentage of this country can really, really help.
We just thank you, Filipinos, for Zoran. Thank you for the...
Assembly member Stephen Raga, who worked with Mamdani at the State Assembly of New York, says Filipinos for Zoran are among the younger generation of voters who worked extra hard for this historic win. A win influenced significantly by Gen Z New Yorkers, with nearly 78% of voters 18 to 34 played a crucial role in mobilizing and energizing the campaign, indicating a generational shift in political engagement.
So having a Filipinos for Zoran initiative like this makes it more that we have control, ownership of how our Filipino community can be outreached to, how our Filipino American community can be heard, what are our issues, and how our Filipino American community is seen during a very vital time in New York City's election.
For Phil-Am boomers such as philanthropist and business leader Lloyda Nicholas Lewis, who initially supported former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, says she had a change of heart and now fully supports Mamdani.
When this convicted felon in the White House endorsed Cuomo, that was the kiss of death. Because for everybody, he is going to, and if Cuomo won, the president is going to ask Cuomo, tit for tat, now you give me governor's pardon for the 34 felony convictions that he got.
The 34-year-old Mamdani will become New York City's youngest mayor in more than 100 years and the first Muslim, South Asian, and African-born New Yorker to hold the office. He will be sworn in on January 1st, 2026 as New York City's 111th mayor. Don Tagala, Bilyonaryo News Channel, New York.
That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business. Only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.